Chapter 16. Discoveries. Zeddy froze. It was too late. The IMP had already seen the bags. What was going to happen? What should he do? He had to act, but his feet felt glued to the floor. Suddenly he turned and headed down the cabinets. Down the hall the deep voice boomed. "Search the bags! Find out what he's hiding." Oh no, Zeddy thought. They'll know we're here. Zeddy ran to the cabinet and threw open the door. He grabbed his backpack and pulled the zipper open. Quickly he dug in the bag to find the little worn leather book Nimue had given him. He felt it. He pulled the book from the bag and opened it. "What was that noise? Check the rooms. This man is hiding something," the deep voice bellowed. "No!" yelled Prophecy. "Zeddy, what are you doing? Get out of here! Run! Run!" yelled Zeddy, emerging from the cabinet. As two large international military police officers ran into the room. "Freeze!" yelled one of the men. Zeddy stood there, the crystal hidden, clenched in his right hand, and the open book in the left. His mother stood beside him, silent tears rolling down her face. A third large man, who looked almost exactly like the other two men, entered the giant room, dragging the professor behind him. He looked crossly at Zeddy, and then he pushed Prophecy towards them. The professor almost fell from the force of the shove. Zeddy reached to steady him, and Prophecy joined the two of them facing the IMP officers. "Now, what do we have here?" the man who pushed Prophecy asked in his deep, loud voice. "Who are you people, and what are you doing in here?" "I can explain," Prophecy began. "I've heard enough of your lies," the deep-voiced man yelled. Looking at Zeddy and Zeddy, he continued, "I am Special Agent Ayer. I represent the international government. I demand you tell me who you are and what you are doing in this man's house. Now!" Zeddy started to step forward, but Zeddy grabbed her arm. She froze and looked at him in surprise. Zeddy shook his head no, very slightly, so that only she could see. Zeddy, and Prophecy stood very still, staring at the IMP officers. Ayer was not happy in the least. "I believe I identified myself properly as a representative of the IG. I also believe I asked you to identify yourselves. I order you to answer me," Ayer sneered. At that moment, Zeddy raised his right hand, pointing the Rosetta crystal at the IMP officers, and screamed, "Zarashmiya!" A giant red flash of electric light shot out of the crystal in Zeddy's hand. It soared across the room in a tidal wave, engulfing the men who stood in front of Zeddy. The light was blinding, and the force behind it almost knocked Zeddy over. He stumbled backwards as he watched the blazing light sweep over the IMP officers and across the room. As quickly as it had appeared, it seemed to vanish. Zeddy blinked several times, his eyes unable to focus after the intensity of the light. Zeddy watched the men in front of him, not sure what he had done. The IMP officers appeared frozen. Ayer's mouth looked painted on his face, half open as if he were about to scream something. The other officers were motionless as well. Even their lungs had ceased to move, as if they had no use for the air they usually inhaled and exhaled. As Zeddy looked around, everything was motionless except for Prophecy, his mother, and himself. How did you... Prophecy tried to ask. "Zeddy, are you okay? Are you hurt? What was that?" Zeddy asked frantically as she grabbed Zeddy in her arms. I don't know. I just opened the book and knew what to say," Zeddy tried to explain. "You unleashed the dark energy of your Rosetta crystal," said the little Zutterfly as he fluttered out of the cabinet, still dark in the presence of danger. "You have temporarily stopped time. Dark energy can affect many things, especially time. The stone is rightfully yours, Zeddy. I know you will use it wisely." "Thank you, Smalley," said Zeddy. "How long will this last? Will these men be all right?" "Yes, they will be fine. Unfortunately, I do not know how long it will last. You've exerted a powerful force for someone so young. I do know that we should have enough time to escape after a dose of dark energy that strong. I will show you one of my gifts." Zeddy and Prophecy were not going to take any chances that the effects of whatever had just happened might wear off before they could get out of the house. They needed to get as far from this place as humanly possible. Zeddy grabbed Zeddy's backpack, and he stuffed the little book and the crystal safely inside and zipped it shut. He slung the backpack over his shoulders and stuck his arms through the straps. Zeddy and Zeddy ran down the hall, hand in hand, after Prophecy. The professor was already throwing their things in the bags. Zeddy scooped up the tram tickets and 3 sets of falsified identification papers. "We need to get as far from here as we can. We need to get on the next tram out of here," Zeddy said. It will take too long for the taxi to get us there, Prophecy said. Perhaps we can run through the fields and find a place to hide. We have to go to Jungle Island, Zeddy interrupted. Sorry, Prophecy. It's hard to explain, but Nimue spoke to me through the crystal. She said she had seen Dad's face in a place called Jungle Island. She said we need to look for Dad there. Jungle Island? That is a tropical island in a place that was once known as the Bermuda Triangle. Why would your father be there? Prophecy asked. Maybe that is where he's being held, Zadie offered. It is possible, agreed Prophecy. We will have to use these falsified identification papers and tram tickets that Nimue provided us, Zadie said. It's the only way we will be able to go undetected, at least for a while. We will be outlaws after this. Hopefully the IG will not post our pictures. They will surely frown on letting the constituents of Emerasia know they lost 3 people they tried to arrest. But how are we going to get there? We will never make it to the tram station before we are found, said Prophecy. I beg to differ, said Zmali. Get your bags. We must go outdoors.